everybody. I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Chris Yi.
I'm Mike Dilisio.
I'm Wendy Yi.
So at Gen Con, people kept asking us, and we're talking Gen Con 2022 in case you're watching this in 2050.
In the future.
People kept asking us what the game of the con was, and we don't really have a great answer for that. I think it could have been Ready, Set, Bet, but Ready, Set, Bet wasn't there, only in the form of they had early copies and they gave them out to many reviewers. I only say this because of the most played games at the con. For us, it was this one.
Yeah.
This is a horse racing game that when I initially saw the cover and the board, I said, meh, you know, okay, fine. And then I saw John DeClaire on it and heard it was a simple game from John DeClaire, which I tend to think he is amazing at. I was more interested. Then I heard the rules and I was in. Spoiler, I like this game. All right. But how much and where and do they like the game or not? Let's take a look. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the horses race. Now, I got this game a little bit before the app was released for it. So there's an app that will run this for you that's going to have different announcers. I think they got a real horse racing announcer and some other people to announce it, and you can change the speed on it. But if you don't have that or you don't want to use the app, then one person is going to just race the horses. That's all they're going to do. There's some options in the rule book that let this person also kind of play a little bit, but basically one person will race the horses. And what you do is you say, and they're off to start a race. You'll roll the dice, and whatever combo you roll, that's the horse that moves. So there's 7, there's 5, there's 7, there's 6. And the thing that's going to change, though, is if you roll the same number 2 times in a row, so I just rolled 6 twice in a row, you'll move it, and then it gets a bonus. So 6 gets a bonus of 1. While the 4 horse will get a bonus of 3 if that's rolled 2 times in a row. So if I rolled a 4, I would move it 1. And if I rolled a 4 again, it would move 1 and then additional 3. So these blue horses, even though they're harder to roll those numbers, can get incredible bursts of speed. So the 7 does not have a bonus, but that's also because 7 is rolled the most. And you'll also notice that 11 and 12 are on the same horse, and as are 2 and 3. And so you're just going to keep rolling these, announcing what's going on to everybody. So there's another 6, there's a 5, there's another 6, but those weren't right in a row. Finally, 8 comes out the gate. There's boxcars, there's a 4, there's a snake eyes, there's 6, so on and so forth. Now, when 3 horses cross the red line, nobody is allowed to bet anymore. So you can no longer do any betting out there. And then you just keep racing. Everyone watches until one horse hits the finish line. Although one horse could also hit the finish line if it does so before 3 horses cross, and that also ends the race. But either way, you then end the race, and you have one horse that's going to win, that hit the finish line. Then you have 1 or more horses that will place, that are in second, and then 1 or more horses that will show, that are in third. Now, while all that is going on, each player has 5 chips, or 4 chips if you're playing with 7 or 8 players. 5 chips to place down. You can place these down anytime you want. Obviously, the longer you wait, the more you'll know how well a horse is going to do. But I might say, hey, at the beginning of the game, I think 7's going to win. So I'm going to put this 5 here. Now, by me putting that 5 there, if 7 wins, they come in first place, I will get 5 times 3, 15 points. If they do not win, there's a penalty here, which is -2. It is not multiplied times a 5, it's just -2. So, you know, they're getting it out first. This person might say, oh, I think 7's going to win also, but they're going to get, they have a bigger penalty, and maybe someone else will bet there too, and they have an even bigger penalty. While you see if the 11 or 12 horse wins, it's a 9 times, which, as a heads up, can definitely happen. I've seen it. So people can bet on these, and there's only 1 chip allowed in each one. Here you're saying it's going to come in first. If you bid in this row, these columns, it's first or second, and then show first, second, or third. There's also some special things that you can bet on. At the very top of the board, and again, only 1 person can go in each one, you can bet that a blue horse will win, an orange horse will win, a red horse will win, or 7th will do terrible, come in 5th place or worse. There's also going to be some prop bets every round. The prop bets will be put out there, and these are very specific things. Here I'm saying 10 will be 8. I can bet on that. If I'm correct, 3 times 3, 9. If I'm incorrect, -2. and those will change, and that's just about the positioning of horses. And then finally at the bottom, you have an exotic finish, and one of these is added for each race. So in race 2, there's 2 of them, and these are just very specific things. The third place horse loses by 3 or fewer spaces, a very close race. Or all horses move 6 or more spaces, that's a tight race. These have pretty high multipliers, but they also have a smaller chance of happening. So players are going to be betting all at the same time until 3 horses cross the red line or till the race ends. And then once you find the winners, then you'll say, okay, horse 9 is the winner, horse 10 comes in second place, shows, and horse 6 came in third. So any bids here, any bids here, and any bids here will win. Everyone else will take them back, and if you have penalties, you pay those. You get your winnings first, then your penalties. Then each player is going to get 2 VIP cards, and you're going to pick between these cards. It's going to give you a special ability. Some cards will give you an extra token. This gives me a 4 token, although it comes with a -1 penalty on it if I fail. Here's one that's a side bet. So this basically says 8 and 9 will score me more money if they win. Piggyback. This lets me put my 3 token on top of someone else's token. And there's lots of different bonus chips. There's even one that goes up to 7. Some just give you straight money. Some, whenever the 11 or 12 is rolled, you put money on this card. There's an extra token that cancels the negative bonuses on the board. There's one that gives you money every time Snake Eyes and box cars are rolled in a game. There's one that lets you, you are basically, you want red, orange, and blue to win because you get more bonuses if you bet on horses to win. There's even this one, the last second better, which lets you throw bets down after the horses have crossed the red line. And here's the thing, after race 2, you'll draw 2 more VIP cards and keep one, but you maintain the card you got after the first race. So by race 4, you'll have 3 special cards going on. Anyway, in between each race, players will take all the money that they've gained in that race, if any, and after 4 races, whoever has the most money is the winner of the game. All right, so component-wise, this is my... I'm ready already for a bigger board, poker chips.
Playmat.
Oh, thank you.
Not a playmat.
Basically,
I
a blackjack table.
I don't know if I want a bigger board, though. Then it would be even harder to see across the table.
This is the kind of game that you stand up for. I think that's the thing.
fair.
100% agree.
That's
You
fair.
do not sit for this game.
I do have one problem with components that I do not like, and that is the actual horse track. I wish it had grooves or slots or a place to move the horses. As is, you don't really want to stand them up because they fall over. And if you lay them down, they don't fit properly.
Yeah.
And the spaces are a little... I'm going to definitely do something and make that board bigger or whatever.
And there's a franticness to the actual action. Now, we're talking about if you're not using the app, if someone is actually running
Rolling
that
the
race.
dice.
There's a franticness
That's
to it, and it's
true.
easy to bump those horses around.
Especially if you actually roll the dice into the horses. That would be
Yeah.
I wonder that this game is maybe geared towards using the app. Again,
think
everything
it is.
we're talking about here is without that app, and I don't know, but I do like the arrows. I like the cards. It's definitely a game, and this was probably will come up in a bit, but the different kinds of bets, you're going to forget them.
Yes.
But once you play the game several times, as soon as one comes up, I'm like, I know that one now. But it is definitely a learned thing.
Oof,
It is, and sometimes I don't remember the specifics of it, of like, oh, was that one the 3 spaces for the third player, or was that the 3 spaces from the front? One of them is 3 spaces.
I think the board is a good size, but I wouldn't mind like a jumbo version of this game, if not for any other purpose than those prop bets and those the special finishing bets.
Right.
If those were a little bit larger,
Yeah.
basically I'm asking for a blackjack table or a roulette table. I know that, right? But I think this is an event type of a game.
Yes.
I don't know if it's a type of game that I'm going to pull out at home so much. Be like, hey, Wendy, you and me, let's go.
Right.
You know, let's play Ready, Set, Bet.
I don't
Bet
know. I
against
mean, I'm going to
yourself.
pull it at home, but I got like 4 kids.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I get the sense that this is going to be one of those games that people are going to be homebrewing components for making things larger, kind of setting it up for their group, because this is a game I think that shines in the right group, large, boisterous, ready to have fun, ready to shout. Very interactive type of a game.
Do you consider it a party game?
I do,
absolutely
100%,
consider it a
yeah.
party game.
I don't know where I stand on that. It's so.
I'm kind of
weird.
with Chris.
This is
Yeah.
this is why I feel like it's a party game. Is I had a blast playing it twice in a row. And it fit a bunch of people and it was awesome, and by the third game I was feeling the same kind of drain that I feel from party games.
Large group, better in a large group, better with a boisterous group. I love to win, but I don't really care if I win.
Yes.
Those to me spell party games. You
It's
know what
kinda
I mean?
funny you
And it's
mentioned-
about the interaction around the table more than anything else.
You mentioned better with a boisterous group. We played a
Yes.
live version of this here in the Dice Tower, and that is the least boisterous I've seen this game
I was
played.
trying to scream at
Because
the
I
end
mean,
there.
every other time we played it, and we were in.
There's been like table
I
banging.
apologize to all the
and
tables near us. There was a lot of yelling,
Yes.
and
we all know we
I-
had microphones on. I think that's why.
I
Were there
like
microphones
that
around?
stand-up. People always ask about stand-up moments,
Yeah.
but in this one, everyone is standing up.
Yes.
Everyone is excited. It's so I hate to. I don't hate to, but we often say games kill other games.
Sure.
One of my favorite racing games currently is Unicorn Fever. I love Unicorn Fever. There's that racing the horses down. You do all this stuff, you know.
Or unicorns, maybe.
Yeah.
Did I say horses?
Horses, yeah. Well,
it happens every time. It was originally called Horse Fever. Anyway, so I race these unicorns down the track, and there's all the stuff you do beforehand. You take this, you
The
bet
worker
this, you
placement
set
stuff.
this, you put the cards out, and then there's some rolling of the dice. Everyone gets into that.
Yes.
This is this game. This is all ready, set, bet is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bit of breathing during the
bit.
payout phase, and then we're like, okay, are we ready? Let's go again. And exciting is a lot of games I call exciting. This is literally exciting.
The whole way through.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're just like on.
And that's
your
why
feet.
you're
going,
exhausted
going,
afterwards.
going.
Right.
Yeah, sure. And that's the way I feel about a lot of party games. Is I tend to just feel like exhausted afterwards because it's kind of that like boisterous. You're just giving your all.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so if you were kind of wavering on party game, not party game, if it's not, and I'm not, I that's my opinion is that it is. What would you think of it as? A betting game, a racing game? Because to me, it doesn't feel like a racing game. It clearly, I mean, the theme is a horse race, so there's
Yeah.
an element of that. But to me, it's almost more about reading the other players, timing, right? It's like, when are people going to start going in on this horse? Am I ready to drop in on that? Am I willing to take one of the potential penalty spaces? Those to me feel more like party-ish type interaction things than the race. The race is the framework that all of this interaction is built around.
I think if
right?
I weren't to call it a party game, I would call it a real-time betting game.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
there's-
got that like start and go real-time effect.
There's a lot of real-time games that I wouldn't necessarily call party games, and this
Yeah.
is one where, like you said, you're sitting there doing risk mitigation.
Right.
You're sitting there saying, okay, this horse is kind of in the lead now. Do I want to put my 5-time multiplier chip or $5 chip, whatever, on a first place spot, or do I put it lower down? Am I going to factor in how much negative payout I
Right.
have? I earn special chips. Oh, there's a lot we haven't even talked about in this
Yeah,
game. You earn those specialty things each round. Do I place that chip on there that has a higher risk potential, or do I put my safe one out there so I don't pay out the negative and I can just kind of wildly throw that on a first place somewhere? That's a lot of mental load for a party game. I think that's the reason that I kind of
I agree.
hesitate to call
and
it
that's
that.
that's where because there's just a little bit more. But there are two things about this game that instantly had me on board when I was looking at the rules for the first time. First of all, the way the horses move is so obviously simple, but feels brilliant.
Yes.
smart.
When they
Yes.
explained that, they're like, "Oh, you roll this one twice in a row, it moves an extra 3 spaces," and I was like, "Oh!" And I saw you with the same reaction when I explained it, because it's just like,
Yep.
that works so well at a math level.
Unless it's
the
a
7
7
horse
horse.
is still the 7 horse is still the favored one to win.
Yeah.
But I've seen the 12 win. Also,
Right.
well, the 11-12, because that evens it out with the 10.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, the 7 horse wins the most, and the 6 and 8 win the second most.
They should.
But
But those also
they're
the
much
bets,
closer.
The bets on the board reflect that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
But it's
And
so
so I
exciting
appreciate
when
that.
those outside horses win, and it's going to happen more. Like if it was just straight rolls, the 12 would win once out of every 200 years.
Right.
You know, it's not gonna happen much.
Yeah, and it's so funny. Anybody who's ever been to Las Vegas before, they lived there, and so did I
You
actually
lived
for a
there.
while.
I was like,
This
Everybody
is all,
but Tom.
Everybody but Tom. This is, I mean, this is all built on, those mathematical odds. The reason
Yeah.
why the house always wins. I mean, that aspect is very smart, but everything else is just based off of pure odds and mathematics, right? But the fact that you can have a game that is all about that still be so stand-up and boisterous and fun is a testament to it. I will state that my biggest negative, because we haven't really talked about a lot of negatives, is that I do feel, and it's why you think it might not be a party game, I do feel like, especially early on for players who have not played it before, it's an overwhelming amount of things to focus on. And I think that if you are worried about winning, if you're playing with people that have played the game multiple times before, you're likely not going to do as well, because you're just trying to figure out what's what goes where. You know, I can understand this, but now you've got all these prop bets and you've got these specialty bets down
I wonder
there.
if for first race you should play without the other bets and just play the middle.
I think it's not a
Absolutely.
bad idea. I think it's not a bad idea.
Because I feel like with every single group that you taught, there was that sense of like, okay, I got this.
And now you
then
got
we started
this?
flipping over
Yeah,
cards,
yeah.
and then you just saw the like deer in the headlights.
Now, that being said, the other thing I loved about the game was, you mentioned, is those upgrade cards.
Yeah, the cards
Because
are
I
great.
thought,
Those are
oh,
tons
that
of
would
fun.
be overwhelming, but it's not.
No.
Because you get a card that gives you an extra chip. You have an extra chip. You get a card that says, if the 7 horse wins, you're like, or the 6 or whatever.
Right.
You're like, all right, now I'm investing in that. And I don't have to worry about what your cards say.
Right.
And it just makes you feel better. You get 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I think makes it feel more like a game than just, hey, here's a betting,
betting.
here's a betting exercise. That really was fun.
So I love those cards. The other thing that I really appreciate is that you don't lose all your money, given I still lose all my money. But when you're betting on these places, it's not like you lose all your money
Right.
plus a penalty. You're only losing a tiny penalty, and so you're like, okay, I have a ×5 possibility. I'm put my 3 chip on there. I could get $15, or I could lose 2.
Yeah.
Like I appreciate that the loss is not overwhelming.
Right. And that way, it's not like Vegas.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I don't love like betting games for that reason. Is I get very stingy and tight with my money. I'm just like that. Maybe because I grew up in Vegas. But I don't know. So I just appreciate that there's even spaces that don't have any negatives, and I tend to favor those. If it looks like that horse is winning, I'm going to take all the spaces that don't have negatives on them and be like, cool, at least I'm not going to lose anything.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to start final thoughts here, and we're going to go down.
Okay.
Because my rating is a 9.5. And the only reason it's not a 10 yet is because I haven't played with the app. I suspect the app might raise it. And yes, I know we mentioned a few minor things. That I don't care. This game is so fun that when we're done recording this, I would play it right now.
Yes.
And there's very few games like that. We were at the convention. I just wanted to keep playing this one. I didn't even care about any of the other games. I want to go find a new group of people and teach this to them because it's so much fun. And I should mention, it's as fun, in my opinion, to run the horses as play. I've done both. They're equally as fun. The horses, you're just rolling and racing the horses, but it's entertaining to do that. But even if you thought that wasn't fun, the app will fix that.
Right.
Yep.
Now, I should mention as a side note, there's rules that when you run the horses, you can do some betting ahead of time. There's an optional rule, or you can rotate that, blah, blah, blah.
No one
Run-
ever did that at the con.
No.
No one tried it.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it's like, I said it at the con, it's like dungeon mastering a party game, I guess. Because that's what it feels like, and everyone's excited about what you're doing. So even if you're just rolling dice, people are like, roll a 7! You know? And I also like the betting, because one time I put all my chips, as soon as it started, I put every chip on 7. And 7 won.
Right.
I lost the game by a mile because it's 7. It's not as good odds. And I had done so poorly in the other rounds. But I don't care if I win this game ever.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing for me. I have so much fun playing it. And I think this will be a big hit, actually. I think when people play it, they're really going to like it as it goes out there. So, all right. Mike?
Yeah, so I'm not at a 9.5. I think it's a very good game. I have concerns that it might be pretty group dependent. I have a feeling like in certain groups it would be a 9.5. Certain groups might be a 6. I do feel like this is a game that presents a nice framework. I used that word before. I think this game presents a nice framework for interaction around the table. With the right group, I think it's a fantastic experience. I like the fact that it is a relatively compact game that provides a very boisterous and fun experience. I'm going to be coming in at a 7.5. I recommend it. I would play it. I would even pull it off the shelf and recommend it. But I would be careful about who I would play it with, I think. I think
I'll
I
play
would
this
be.
with people with analysis paralysis.
There you go.
You'll learn.
That's right.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Can I go next?
Yes.
I feel like the real-time element of this makes it so that it's not just group dependent because you only have so much time. And so even if you have like laggards that are not that excited,
what I'm
at
worried
some
about. I'm
point
worried
they
about-
have to speed up and get into it.
Yeah.
You're
but
worried about
they
the
have-
angry people?
I'm worried about. Yeah, I just wonder how. But this is all conjecture. So I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's good. So I'm going to give this an 8 because I do not like betting games, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. So I'm giving this an 8 because like what I said, you never get in the hole, you never lose all your money, you never, you know what I mean? Like,
I
it's
did.
never.
But I had to work hard at that.
Well, you bottom out at 0, though, which is
bottom out
nice.
at 0.
That's
yeah.
true. That's true. You don't lose money.
You're not trying to like make yourself back up to 0, like no. And so I appreciate that. I enjoy the real time element of it, that you can't overthink it, because I love a family member dearly, but I have a family member that playing betting games is really rough because they overthink it. It's not Chris. No, but like I just appreciate a lot about what's going on here, the real time element. I do think that there's a lot to take in initially, and I don't know if I think I bet once on a prop bet and I was standing right over it, kind of thing. So I struggle with that. I wish they were bigger things, but overall I think that this is a lot of fun. Am I going to pull it out all the time? Not all the time, but there are definitely moments that this is going to be a game that I'm going to choose to play, and I will pull out.
Okay. Tom, you predicted that we'd be going down, and you were absolutely wrong. I'm giving this a 9.
I figured you were higher than them.
Yeah, I have so much fun with this. What it reminds me of, I guess actually, a comparison I would make is kind of like Captain Sonar, right?
Yes.
Is it a party game? Is it not?
Yes.
I don't know, and that doesn't matter. We had that conversation earlier, but really what matters is, do you like kind of frenetic and frantic real time? Are you okay with the fact that you're going to put a chip down and someone's faster than you, bumps the chip out of your hand? I was going to bet that spot. You grab it and put it somewhere else. You have to be okay with those little like annoyances kind of moments, but it's so fun. And it's also so unique. And so for those reasons, I kind of think that this would be a great convention game. Like when you see people set up
agree.
Captain
Playing this
Sonar.
all retreat.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
In that
You're gonna be
environment,
exhausted.
I think that's where this game is going to shine, and I would play it in those circumstances every time. So yeah.
Yeah. So is it something I'm going to pull out at home? Absolutely not. I don't think so. Also, we would anger our child as I swap the bets out of her hand. That's my spot.
Yeah.
But
She
teaching her
doesn't know
valuable
her times
lessons.
tables yet. We're not there.
Well, that's a great way to learn with
Yeah.
real money. Real money.
This is your allowance.
Put your allowance on the board.
That's right.
that's a joke. I'm not a bad father. But yeah, I love it. I do.
Alrighty, well, folks, that's Ready, Set, Bet, and this is again. Who knows? The app might change things too,
Yeah.
and we'll see how life works. But that's a review. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Chris Yi.
I'm Mike Dilisio.
I'm Wendy Yi.
Don't bet on real horses.